Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Are you on a ship or something like that? You're shaking all over the place.
Well, I'm not on my laptop. It's my cell phone, unfortunately, today.
And
I
you and
forgot to bring it home.
you're trying to balance it on your knees while you're driving.
Yes. I was trying to get rid of the pop-up that all I had to do was click got it. But I had to read the whole thing or scroll to the bottom.
Okay,
So
that's
maybe
fine.
it'll be more stationary. So you're back home?
I am, thank God, back home. I was in the United States for 2 weeks. We met there, and then I got back here a week after we met. My flight took off on Sunday night. I landed on Monday afternoon, and I got back to work on Tuesday morning.
Oh man.
That was a week ago, and today is Monday, so it was exactly a week ago.
Yes. Yes. Well, I was a shuttle driver for the event. Met some
How did
very
that go?
wonderful,
Did people?
interesting people.
How many people were parked in the parking lot over there? How many cars? No.
I don't remember, but I want to say 20. I could be wrong. It could be less. But
Okay.
just multiple trips sometimes makes it seem like more, but
Right.
right. That's good.
Well, thank you very, very, very much for that service.
Well, it was an honor, yes.
I'm sure that the people were very happy with their driver. Very congenial
Oh,
driver.
just met some interesting guys. A Hispanic rabbi from Grand Prairie. The most interesting person was Michael Apple from Queens.
Like the Jewish ones.
Yes, this son of a rabbi. Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to engage with that Rabbi Guartez, I think his name is, or something like that. I haven't gotten a chance to really be in touch with him too much, but with Michael Apple, we're starting to move forward. We'll see
Yes,
what happens.
great.
And what did you think of the event in general? Or were you
Oh,
there? I mean, I did see
I
you in
was
the.
so impressed. Yes, I was so impressed. Heavy hors d'oeuvres, nothing, man. That was a meal. It was awesome.
Nah,
Yes.
a meal is when you sit down. When you think about it,
Yeah.
the hors d'oeuvres are more filling than the meal, because the meal you get a plate, and whatever's on the
Yes.
plate, that's it.
That's it. Finished.
Hors d'oeuvres, you grab one, you grab another.
That's it. That's it. So you had like three tables of food plus the people walking around serving. The leg of lamb was phenomenal. The lamb chops were phenomenal. Yeah, it was good. Good.
Well, I was incredibly lucky that I was able to overcome the my eyes and my drooling, and I didn't eat anything that night.
Man of discipline, you are.
I managed. The past few months I haven't been too disciplined, but I really overcame it, and I took opportunity to use my mouth for other things, for talking to people.
Yes.
So that's what you remember. That was good about it, the food, huh?
Oh, the food and the people. Yes. Yes. And Gidon Ariel. Yes.
It
Yes. It
was
was
truly
great.
a nice event. And biz I just, like I said, I got back about a week ago, and it took, first of all, my assistant was out sick 2 days, so that pretty
Oh,
much
goodness.
I was unable to work for 2 days, which I, Baruch Hashem, managed to exchange a day of work for a day of volunteering here in Israel. You know, we've got a little bit of a war going on.
Yes, you do.
So what we like to do here in the home front is to volunteer. So some people pack sandwiches, some people deliver furniture, some people, oh, I don't know, they're doing all sorts of things. Some people go to hotels where people on the front were relocated to. I think there's a different word for that.
Yeah.
And so they go and they like do magic tricks or something like that for the kids. But I said, you know what? Me and my wife, we feel like picking fruit from trees, because what happens? The farmers are mobilized into reserve duty, so
Right.
they are strongly underhanded. That's not the right word. They what's the right word? They don't have
Yeah.
as many people.
Underhanded, shorthanded.
Shorthanded is it? Underhanded, I think, means something else.
That's true. That's true.
So they were shorthanded. So it took me a few hours at that point to find a place that we could actually volunteer and feel confident that we were going to go and we were going to be able to work. But finally, I found somebody and they answered the phone and they said, "Well, we really like you to come with groups." So they said, "But come on anyway." So we came, and it was not a problem because, yeah, we like people to come on time so that we could explain to them. We were picking pomegranates.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, we were picking pomegranates on an orchard of kibbutz, not
Okay.
far from Beit Shemesh, about an hour drive from our home.
Okay.
We got there. There were, I would guess, about 50 volunteers besides us.
Okay.
We went to row 15. My wife and I were picking trees. We were there for like 2 hours. We picked about 4 trees, I think, maybe 5. We didn't see and we skipped over people because all these 50 volunteers were on the same row.
Wow.
Maybe not. Maybe they were on 2 or 3 rows. But there were every time we finished a tree, we skipped 2 or 3 trees. Alan, we couldn't see the end of the row.
Wow.
And we were on row 15 and we saw row 45. And there were plenty more. In other words, there must have been 1,000 trees, maybe 10,000 trees. I have no idea.
My goodness.
We did only 4 trees.
How tall do they get?
Not that tall. I was able to reach without or at least these trees weren't that tall. These pomegranate trees, I was able to reach almost the highest pomegranate without a ladder.
Okay. So you put them in baskets?
We put them in these baskets, and then we took the baskets and poured them into these gigantic baskets that the forklifts would come and move. I don't know what size baskets they transferred the giant baskets into, but
Yeah.
I would say that each basket held maybe 50 pomegranates,
Okay.
and each giant basket held probably maybe 50 maybe 50 baskets. It's a cube.
Huge.
Yeah. 10 by 5 by 10, I would say. Maybe 5 by
Wow.
5 by 10, 25 by 10, 250. I don't know. So much. And so this was the second day of volunteering, and they were hoping that they would be able to finish them by the end of this week. But it's all volunteers, and it's all just people finding out about it by WhatsApp. People saying, "What can I do? What can I do?"
So
That's what us Israelis do during wartime. We volunteer. We get together, and we're all like one family.
it's all hands on deck. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pomegranate juice is very popular now. It's got antioxidants and all sorts of good things. Much easier to drink than to eat.
I don't know. I like eating them. We are used to eating pomegranates on Rosh Hashanah, on the New Year's,
Okay.
because it is traditionally a fruit that you say the Shehechianu blessing on the first time that you eat it, and the season starts around Rosh Hashanah, which is around September
Okay.
or October. So a month or 2 ago, and now I think it's coming to the end of the season.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly how that works, but it doesn't matter. I came worked for 2-3 hours, and feel good about myself, went back home.
There you go. That's awesome. So how does one eat a pomegranate properly?
So maybe others would disagree with me because everybody's an expert. But what I do is I first of all I cut it in half, and then I cut the skin a little bit so it's easier to peel, and then I start peeling it outwards so that the inside comes out, and then I shake off or push off the pomegranate seeds into a plate or a bowl or something like that, and then you just pop them with a spoon or with your hand or something like that.
And the seeds?
You eat the seeds. That's
You
all
chew
you do.
Okay, good.
You chew them, and some people can't imagine swallowing the little seed inside, but most people do.
Yeah. Okay. I will try them again. It's been a long time. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Nowadays in supermarkets, you probably can find the seeds, the fruit seeded or pre-seeded or whatever you call it, so that you don't have to do the work of the seeding. What happened is that we took one home. They said take one home, so we took a nice big one, like almost the size of a well, not a bowling ball. I don't know, a softball, bigger than a softball. And we said, okay, we'll eat it for Shabbat. And then I started peeling it and getting those seeds out. And then just as I finished getting all the seeds out, my wife said, wait a second, we haven't tithed the fruit yet.
Oh.
So the fruit in the land of Israel requires tithing.
Right.
And if you don't tithe the fruit, then you're not allowed to eat the fruit.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to tithe on Shabbat. You have to prepare the fruit from before Shabbat.
Right.
So I have to tell her, no, let's tithe it and we'll eat it. But that's what happened. So we didn't eat it on Shabbat yet. So I don't know how good it is. I think it's good. I think I stole one.
So where will the tithe go?
So in principle, this is a complex situation. There are different kinds of tithes. There is the Maaser Rishon, the first tithe that I think goes to, in principle, to either a Levite or a priest, a Kohen.
Okay.
And then I don't remember who gives to whom. I think it goes to the Levite. And then there's Maaser. Then another one goes to the priest, and then the Levite has to give a tenth of the first tithe that he gets to the priest also. But then there's also the poor man's tithe that goes to a poor person. And then there's also, I forget the name of it, but I think that tithe you eat, but you eat it in Jerusalem when you go up to the pilgrimage to Jerusalem.
Okay.
So nowadays, I'm not even sure about all this. My wife is much better than this stuff than I am. And not to mention my son, who's a de facto rabbi. But nowadays, I think what you do is you just put it aside in a respectful manner, an honorable manner, like you tie it up in a paper bag or something like that, and you dispose of it honorably, because you can't, because nobody knows who's really a priest. I don't know. It depends, whatever. Anyway, I think that's the situation.
Okay. Very interesting. Yes.
Well, all of this, of course, only is with respect to fruits of the land of Israel. In other words, fruit that is grown outside of the land of Israel is not you're not required to tithe at all.
Okay.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder, because not to have to tithe, the tithe that you have to eat in Jerusalem makes sense. And in general, land-based or affiliated commandments are not applicable outside of the land of Israel. Agricultural commandments.
Okay.
But on the other hand, the tithe that goes to the poor person, that's for the poor person. So maybe you do have to. I don't know. You send me an email, maybe I'll remember and I'll look for it.
Okay.
The right answer.
Okay. Reminds me of a joke. Christians often practice tithing. Some denominations more than others. So three preachers got together and they questioned each other. Do you tithe? Do you tithe? Yes, yes. Now, do you offerings? Because Malachi said, you've robbed me in tithe and offerings. How do you determine is your offering? Well, one preacher said, I draw a circle and I give the tithe and then I throw the rest up in the air, and what lands in the circle is the offering. The other one said, well, I do the opposite. What lands outside the circle is the offering. And the third preacher, he was one of these prosperity preachers. He says, well, I throw it up in the air, and what God wants, he keeps.
Heard of that stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, is there a concept of tithe? I know that the concept of tithing in churches,
Yes.
In amongst Christians, is there a concept of tithing not to churches but to other ministries or charities?
Some people hold to that.
You've heard of that.
For our church, it's an individual thing. The principle is tithing as a minimum, recognizing God's ownership over everything, and you're returning to Him a tithe. Now, of course, as a pastor, I prefer they give to the church because these other ministries are always asking for money, and I love to pastor a church with the boxes on the wall and not even mention it. And so,
is that what you do at your church?
Yes, yeah, and we'll pass the plate for something special, like we did for Israel yesterday. We did, and man, the people really gave. Yeah, so only for special things outside the operations of the church is the basket passed, which doesn't happen very often. But yeah.
But you're saying that that it's simply known that you tithe to the church, and that is the operational expenses budget of the church.
Yeah, and when I teach on it, I tell why I prefer tithing to the local church. These other ministries are not going to stop asking for money if you're going to tithe, but it's not a legalistic thing. I certainly don't check the records and all that stuff. So
you don't check the records of who gave and who doesn't. So in other words, this is a tremendously faith oriented and based thing.
Yes.
Like you're running an organization, and you don't keep records.
We keep records. The secretary does, the bookkeeper does, and gives people receipts.
Oh,
for nonprofit law. Yes.
But wait a second. If you're a church, I believe the American nonprofit law does not require you to submit an annual tax return. Is that right?
Yes, as a church, but if we were a 501c3, then we would have to do some type of form. Yes.
Sure. I know I'm a 501c3.
Yes, we're not a 501c3, so yeah. But I would never say don't send your tithe to and name some 501c3 unless it's a corrupt thing. Corruption's been exposed. So
yeah. And wait a second. But if somebody gives a donation or a tithe to the church, can they claim that as if they gave to a 501c3?
Yes, in Texas.
Wow.
But they need to have a receipt.
Of course.
Yeah, it's grandfathered in. 501c3 didn't exist when the nation was founded and when the state was founded. And so the 501c3 is a Johnny come lately for the benefit of,
Really?
I mean, if we were to have a bookstore and start doing business in the marketplace, then we would need to be a 501c3, but
A
we
different
don't.
story.
I don't like
So
that.
you're saying that, but what does Texas have to do with anything? It's a federal taxes.
Right, right. And so the states have rights. I do not know how the other states fare with this, but so we're a registered, incorporated church with the state of Texas, and it's recognized by federal law as a nonprofit entity, but not a 501c3.
Okay, the difference is, one of the differences is that if you go onto GuideStar, if we'd find your church, I'm guessing, then it'll say this entity is a church and therefore does not have to submit an annual report.
I don't know about GuideStar, but I know since we've found it, we've consulted with lawyers more than once and accountants, and so we're legit anyway. So,
All right, well, don't worry,
yeah.
I'm not a
No. I appreciate the questions and the interest.
I'm very interested because it's because that's my field, 501c3. I'm a nonprofit organization
Yes.
and whatever. And
So,
anyhow, so back to tithing. So you're saying that a lot of people, I don't know most, but enough people who are affiliated with your church feel a responsibility to voluntarily tithe
right.
to the church.
Yes.
And some of them will say, okay, I'm going to try to give another 10% to everything else, or no, I've given my tithe, I don't have to give to anybody ever, or I'll give whatever the Lord tells me to, or all of the above, probably.
All the above. Yeah, all the above. Yes.
All of the above and more.
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't taken it. It's interesting the way this conversation is going. I haven't checked Google recently, but I wonder what the average percentage of their income do Americans give on average, and Christians or people from your own church, if there's such a question, or maybe not your church, but some kind of a poll or survey.
Yeah, everybody doesn't tithe, that's for sure. The majority does not, I'm sure. The stats are there to look at, you know.
So in your church, about how many people do you think? I mean, that's something that you know, if people are tithing, if people are giving any kind of money. I mean, you can guess if somebody's driving up in a Bentley and they give $50,000 a year or whatever. So you say these guys are probably tithing, or maybe not. Maybe they're only giving a 100th. But people who nobody knows how much they're really making, I don't know how does it work? Some people don't give anything. Some people give $50 a year. All the above.
Yeah. It would be shocking if we knew. It's the faithful, consistent giving that helps a church operate. So,
of course.
Yeah. So if something huge comes in, we do our best not to operate on that, but use that for something special. You know, paving a parking lot or send it to Israel or Haiti after an earthquake, something like that. Yeah, you get dependent on those, then you're in trouble. That's where churches get in trouble. Is one year they get a big windfall, and so they raise their budget to that level, and yeah, it's not wise.
So
Yeah,
we're recording this, like maybe I don't want to get too deep into
no, it's fine. It's fine.
How many families are in your church approximately?
Maybe 50 families. We have about 200 people. If they all came, maybe 300 people. So yeah, probably 50 families. Yeah.
Wow. And how, and do you think that, and you're meeting your budget based on these people's tithings?
Yeah, we base our budget on what came in last year. And that way we don't get in trouble. Some churches create budgets based on growth, and that's where they get in trouble. And yeah,
I think that's
so we
what
learned that one years ago.
Wow. And yeah, well, do you also another church that I'm familiar with, the church itself tithes the income that it gets.
Yes, we give beyond our own self from the income that comes in, and it always comes to more than the tithe, probably 20 or more. So if it gets below the tithe, then we're concerned we're not being generous enough in our, we don't want to be a self-centered church. So, but we don't like right off the top, okay, here's 10%. No, it's just everything we're supporting, it comes to more than 10%.
Very nice. And you're still keeping the lights on, as they say.
Yes, yes. Have a building that's paid for and
Wow,
everything else. So yeah.
I think that Anne, I think I was driving around with Anne, Stacy, and she pointed out your church.
Okay.
Remind me the name of your church.
Generations Church.
Generations, yeah. It's a little hard for me to remember. I was probably still a little bit jet lagged. But I said, stop, I want to go and visit.
Yeah, come right on. Yes.
I'll do that the next time.
Yes.
I don't know, you guys, what do you do besides Sunday morning services?
We have Tuesday morning women's Bible study, Tuesday night men's Bible study, Wednesday night youth service, and then sundry Bible studies around the community during the week, sometimes every other week.
So and the women's Bible study, that's just for women, I'm guessing.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But the men's Bible study, I'll see what I can do the next time I'm around. I could only imagine, I can't imagine coming into Texas and not staying at least one night at Aunt Stacy's house. She would.
That's right. What a lodge she has. Yes.
She wouldn't let me live it off. I think I was there 3 or 4 nights this trip.
Oh, yes.
But and had I known, then I think I was there till Tuesday night. I think I left Wednesday morning early.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I slept somewhere else. But I'll try. Well, first of all, if I'm probably not going to be there for Sunday, because I like to stay when I come to Dallas in a Jewish community on Shabbat.
Yes.
That way I can attend the synagogue and spend Shabbat with an Orthodox Jewish family.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if it has happened, and I actually love to do this, if somebody invites me over to do a Bible study with either their own family or a few families or a whole bunch of people that they're used to doing that on Shabbat, then then if I have in the past, and I probably wouldn't again spend the Shabbat in that community. So if I spend the Shabbat in the Granbury communities teaching Torah, then Sunday morning I would come to your church.
Wonderful. I went to a Shabbat thing with Rabbi Goldstein.
Goldstein. That's probably the number 3 name of a Jew after
Moshe.
Levi and Cohen.
Moshe from the name of the town starts with an A. Anyway, it was Anne's house. I thoroughly enjoyed that day.
Itamar.
Yes, Itamar. Yes.
Moshe Goldstein. Yeah.
Is it Goldstein or Goldsmith?
Goldsmith.
Goldsmith. Right. Yeah.
So he was there for Shabbat, and people came over and he studied with them.
Yes, he and Leah were there. So
right. So how many? You remember how many people came over?
Yeah, it was wonderful.
I'll try to do that. Well, Blineder one time.
Yeah.
Even though, we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, we haven't discussed 2 things. First of all, is or second of all, whatever, is the Light Up the Church project that we're doing again this year. You remembered you participated in that last year. That is in memory of Kristallnacht.
Yes, Gidon, our difficulty is our light is always on. You drive by the church, the foyer has a big glass wall that looks out onto the highway. There's flags all through the ceiling. Obviously, Israel is there in the right up front there. And so the lights are always on. So, yeah.
Always on 24/7.
Yes. If they're off, somebody did it by mistake or something. Yeah.
Okay. So if somebody could do it by mistake, so maybe it's possible to do it on purpose.
Make so to keep it on purpose. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
See what you can do. But I heard another friend of mine, you know my friend Bob Odell?
I believe I remember that name.
The name.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a partner here in Root Source. So he was very, very interested in participating in Light Up the Church. Of course, he's not the leader of his church, but they let him. They give him a little bit of leeway, I guess. He came and he saw the same problem, that the church lights are always on, or that they are only you can only deal with them by computer or something like that. There's a Shabbat whatever it's called. Anyhow, what he did is he went out and he bought some. I don't know exactly. He bought some Walmart electric candles or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And he stuck them in the they had about 50 windows of the church or something like that. So he stuck one in each window or so. I don't know exactly what he did. I really should interview him and ask him exactly what he did. I think he actually did record a little how-to for that.
Yeah.
And then he bought he made a sign. This church is remembering Kristallnacht or something like that. Ask us why or ask us how or something like that.
Okay.
So to do anything, really, just think about it. What can you do?
Send me his contact info.
I'll be happy to.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're hoping this year to, last year we had about 70 churches participating. I hope that this year we reach 100.
Okay.
We'll see what we can do. I mean, not everybody from last year is going to participate. We'll see.
Yeah.
So that is as far as Light Up the Church is concerned.
Yes.
Of course, the other big deal is unquestionably the war, the what is it? The Barzel iron. I forget what it's called. The boats of iron. What is the name of this war? Let's see.
Something of iron, yes. Wings of iron or something, yeah.
The swords of iron.
Sword of iron, yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been giving, especially when I was in the States, I landed in the States like 3 days after the war started. So people were very interested, and I was giving interviews and lectures on some TV stations, on places when I was going. But I would be delighted to do so also with your church if there's interest.
Okay.
So let's find a time that's good. Mornings, or maybe I could do it as a jump on or a latch on or something like that to the women's Bible teaching, or on a Sunday service, do it through Zoom if that's available.
Okay.
Keep that in mind.
Thank you so.
So I will send you Bob's contact information about how we did the candles and all that for Kristallnacht. thank you very much for talking about this to me, because I see that this might be a reason why more churches aren't doing it, because it's a little bit more technically difficult than I would think. In my synagogue over here, I just told the guy in charge, keep the lights off tonight. He said, no problem. Not a big deal. Anyway, or keep them on. No, keep them on. That's what
Keep them on, yes.
Right.
So is there such thing as a LED menorah?
I do believe so. When I was a kid, I think we had an LED menorah. It is preferable to use real candles and even to use olive oil, I think.
Right.
But you do what you got to do.
Yeah. So a church could put a menorah in their big window. That lights up.
I remember correctly, the menorah that I had as a kid that was LED was maybe this big, maybe a foot wide. So I don't know how much people would notice it. But that's an interesting idea. The only question is, we're getting close at this point. If you'd ordered something like that online, it would take a few days to get there at least.
Yeah. In 2010, we went to Berlin.
Yeah.
And toured the synagogue there where the nonsense began.
Yeah.
It was something to see.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Well, I have a Bible question.
Oh, lay it on me.
It's not a question really, just could you comment on it? Okay, so I do not know how many times as a kid I tried to read the Bible all the way through, and I would make it through Exodus. And then get hung up in Leviticus, and then guilt. Months later, I would start over again. So I read Genesis and Exodus probably more than any other book as a whole, other than Proverbs in the Hebrew Scriptures. But I noticed something yesterday I'd never seen before, that after the burning bush experience, the Lord spoke to Abraham to go to Pharaoh and tell him Israel is my Moses. I'm sorry. Yeah. Speak to Pharaoh that Israel is my firstborn son. Let him go away. And if you don't, this is the thing I didn't notice. Exodus 4:23. If you don't, I'm going to take out your firstborn son, which is ultimately what happened.
It's the gun.
I never noticed that before. I couldn't believe it. So,
it's the gun in the first act.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can't say he wasn't warned. Any comments there?
Well, there's a lot to comment on that, because the story of Pharaoh and Egypt being punished for what they'd done, but at various parts of that story, numerous times in the narrative, it says, and God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Now that is very difficult for mainstream Jewish theology. I don't know if philosophy. I think theology only talks about God, but philosophy talks about the whole world. Even it's a religious theology. Anyway, whatever the right word for it in English is, a very, very, very basic, if not the basic tenet in Jewish faith is free choice. In other words, God can't force you to do anything. You got to do it all by yourself. You got to make up your own mind. Don't blame God for anything. So if that's the tenet of free choice, what are you going to do about the story of Pharaoh in Egypt, where God hardened his heart and made it more difficult, if not, it seems impossible, for him to make his own choice? In other words, if God says you have these 613 commandments to do, some of them are easier than others. The really hard ones, you got to decide yourself. I'm not making it any harder for you or easier for you. You got to do it yourself. That's the bottom line, the foundation of Jewish understanding. Now, I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, that Muslim philosophy is much more leaning to, if not completely leaning towards, no free will. That everything you do, what's the word for that? Is predestined.
Fatalism.
Fatalism. Yes. I'm not really sure about that. As a matter of fact, I'm participating in a lecture series about Islam, so I might ask that question again. It's obviously a very important question, and there might be other religions that are much more fatalistic. What does Christianity say about that, or at least the way you understand it?
When God hardens a person's heart, it is judgment upon them. And
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about the bigger question of whether we as humans have free choice, or everything is predestined, or somewhere in between.
Okay, so I believe we have free choice, but God can give us a wake-up call. But then after the wake-up call is still our choice. For instance, Saul was determined to, end David's life. And one night the Spirit of God came upon Saul, and he lay in a ditch all night long, naked, prophesying good things about David. That was a wake-up call, an extreme one, mind you. Mm-hmm. When it was over, he got up, got dressed, and said, I'm going to kill him. So it didn't work. But he cannot say God did not warn him.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I think the Christian world that it leans too heavy on predestination, they're messed up because of replacement theology.
Really?
Some of that predestination is for Israel. Now, there is Romans 8 that says everything works together for good, for those who are called according to God's purpose, that we might be conformed. We've been predestined to be conformed to the image of Christ. So that is more than just going to heaven, but that's our character being shaped and formed. But the other verses they claim, Calvinists, hyper-Calvinists, claim is because of replacement theology. They are reading someone else's mail, basically. So a misunderstanding comes in there when replacement theology opened the door to a lot of nonsense. So ultimately, God is in control, the big picture. Individually, sorry, I got interrupted by a phone call. Ultimately, the big picture, God is in control. He's omniscient. He's all-knowing. He knows how it's all going to work out. You work against him, he'll use it to his glory. I think there's a proverb that says God made everything for himself, even the wicked for the day of doom. But individually in my life, I am not going to enjoy his blessings if I choose to harden my heart. And in Pharaoh's case, some of those plagues ended with him hardening his own heart. Right. And then the process, as it continued, God began to harden his heart to take him through, demonstrating to history and to the Egyptians, because each of those plagues was significant to their religion, being played against them, I think. So anyway, some of that's my opinion.
Well, you've got pretty good opinions, and mostly it's important that you have opinions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we ran a little overtime today.
Okay.
So I think that we're gonna I don't know if we're gonna next meet in a month or maybe before, because of the time that we had abroad. But right. It's always good to be in touch with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. I so enjoyed it. I feel like I was the one interviewed today, and I'm not complaining. It was wonderful to talk.
Okay, shalom, shalom to you.